Hey guys, it's me again. We are playing Lord of the Rings Rise to War, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about how we're going to traverse this giant world we call Middle Earth. Getting around can seem kind of a burden at times, but there's some things that I guess the game doesn't really talk to you or teach you that I want to go over with you. So if I click my map here, you're going to see that I'm zoomed in all the way, and you'll see I am in Isengard, right next to Orthanc. So my base is here, and that is our headquarters right there. Pretty cool. So if you've played this game at all, you'll notice that the tiles you take over are green. And if you've seen my first video about ring power, you already know this. So let's talk about travel. So a lot of times what you're doing usually is trying to take over all these tiles around you, your base, trying to get up ring power and all the all the resources as well. So what you can do is you can skip out, and if you saw the other video, you can delete some of the ones you have. Now to gain some distance, a lot of people don't know this, but you don't have to own the tile to move next to it. So I'll give you an example. If I'm let's say over here, and this purple guy, and if you know what purple means they're not on, or they're not in my warband, but they are in my faction. My faction is Isengard. So if I go, I'll just show you right now. If I go to here, I'm going to go to my main hall. You'll see in this upper left hand corner spot right here, the banner. If I click that, you'll see the different factions we have. We have Isengard, Rohan, Gondor, and all of them, right? So I'm part of our Isengard. Now, if I have a buddy of mine who is in my warband, and I believe it's, I want to say like chapter 8 or so, where you actually have to pick a warband. So if you're part of a warband, they're going to be blue. Now, if I look at my map, you'll see these little tiny blue dots. That's my warband. They're all around the place, right? So let me find one for you. If I can zoom in on one. Here's one right here, good old Centurion. His tiles are blue. Now the cool thing about having my warband out and about is I can move adjacent to those tiles. But it goes true for my faction as well. I don't have to necessarily own the tiles, nor does my warband have to own the tiles for me to move next to them. So for instance, here's this guy, Bangkok. He's not very far. He doesn't look like he's spread out too much. But if I want to move right next to him, because again, you can only take over or march to the ones that are adjacent to ones you own. Technically, Isengard owns this tile because we are on the same faction. So if I go here, I can hit march, pick one of my guys, and it will let me move. So now that you know this, we can look at our map and say, hey, there's a lot of places I can go because a lot of my neighbors are on my team. They are in my faction. So that's great. That means we can move some distance. Now, you are limited to the distance you can move. For instance, this base here, my headquarters, if I look at my map, you'll notice the yellow dotted line around my base here, and that is 50 tiles in either direction. Now 50 tiles will get you pretty far, but it won't get you where you need to go. So what you do is when you get to the edge of your 50 tiles, you're going to build a fort, or you need to take over one of these small little fortresses here. So I'll show you. I have one here. It's called Ruins. If you're strong enough to take over Ruins, you won't have to build a fort. And you can see the little shadow guys here. There's 5 of them. That means I can reposition. You see the option when I hit it. Move or reposition. If I reposition my units to this Ruins, I now have 50 tiles in either direction from this point, not my base. So the thing is, it's going to cost you though. If I select, let's say Camus, I want to move him, or reposition, excuse me, I want to reposition him to the ruins. You'll see down here, it's going to require 20 stamina. So I can do that. I can reposition him there. Now, you say, well, I'm not strong enough to take over ruins, and I need to get going. I need to help my warband. That's okay. You can build what are called forts. So let me find a fort for you. We have, wow, it's way the heck over here. Well, okay. So you'll notice my little fort here is kind of surrounded by the blue tiles, which is my warband, and the purple tiles, which is just my faction. They're not really on my team, but they're still on my team. We have the same goals. So I can move that far. I send my unit there. I take over the tile, and then I select build. And I'll show you, for instance, if I select a tile that I own and I hit build, one of my options is a fort. Now, I want to build that. You see what it requires. Just take note, it does take 12,000 coin of those little gold coins that you use to, when you get the levy, when you tax your fort. So it is kind of expensive, but it is worth it when you start actually moving and going to objectives and trying to conquer lands and moving with your warband to do that. So keep that in mind. It is expensive, but it is worth it. The thing you need to keep in mind though is, like you'll see in mine, you see all these golden rings, right? I don't have to reposition from this fort, and then once he's there, I need to get to the next fort within that ring, and then the next fort, and then the next fort. If I go, let's say this furthest fort here, okay? I'm gonna go there. And here it is. If I select this, hit reposition, and select somebody, even though he's way the heck over there, and you'll notice the time, it's gonna take him 46 minutes to walk all the way to this fort. But the good thing about this is that it only takes 20 stamina. So you're not burning stamina traversing this whole wide range of land. So that's great. But here's where here comes the problem though. The problem is that all these forts that I've built are all next to my buddies. You notice the purple and the blue? Those are all my buddies. So what happens when you get to enemy territory? Well, when you get to enemy territory, see all these blue dots? These are all my buddies, right? All my friends. What if we go north? Trying to go north, or we gonna go south to visit Gondor, north to visit the elves. Well, that's when we have the problem. That's when we have to actually conquer tile by tile, getting our people across the map just to take over and finally get 50 tiles away to finally build a fort. Now, you would want to coordinate, of course, with your warband to get somebody who has, a good commander that has a really fast marching speed. You can always upgrade your ring here, upgrade your march speed so that it's not taking you as long. Or maybe as you're traversing the area, the unclaimed land, or maybe you're trying to take over another faction. You need somebody who is not only quick at marching, but isn't gonna run into problems when they, hit a difficult tile, or they're coming up on the enemy, just get wiped out. So be aware of those things. But the same rule applies. Once you get to the end of your little yellow band here, you're gonna need to build a fortress or build a fort, and that way you can reposition to that fort and then continue traveling. The other thing to keep in mind is as you're traversing, as you're traveling, as you're building these forts, if you ever need to come back home here to get more units, you can do that. And then, like we said, you can go right to the furthest one and get back to where you were, but you need to reposition. You can't move to it. You need to reposition to that fort, and now you're good to go. And then all that, just so I guess if you're the one, you're the trailblazer, now your buddies can follow alongside you. They don't have to burn up through the energy or the stamina. They don't have to burn up through the resources to get where you've been, because now they have your tiles to go off of. And remember, all the while, if you watch the other videos, you can always come here and delete the least productive tiles that you don't need anymore, and then just go from there. Delete those tiles and continue on with your journey, because all these tiles are taken over. You're gonna max out. It's just gonna happen. So as you're going, as you're conquering, tile by tile, start deleting some of those behind you. So if you have any other tips to share about traveling, and one doesn't simply walk into Mordor, but I guess we kind of have to if we're gonna take over, and all the other places too, because man, it is quite a trek. But if you have some buddies who have already been there, or they're close to it, you can just kind of daisy chain the way they go and get some forts going. So like I said, if you have any other tips, tricks, or anything you want to share, leave a comment. Like, subscribe, maybe dislike. Maybe there's stuff I didn't cover. I know there's stuff I didn't cover. We're all just trying to figure this out as we go. But I'll have more videos just like this one. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope you enjoy this game as much as I do, because I am loving it.